So Just Pearly Things, or Pearl Davis, or Hannah, or whatever you want to call her, recently went on Piers Morgan Uncensored opposite a feminist journalist. I think her name is Ava Santina. And they were arguing about women's rights and voting rights and equal pay. And it was really something to behold, because Pearl seems to be grading to every side of these issues.
It's kind of impressive, actually.
Yeah.
Like when you're the person who can actually piss everyone off.
But she's not even doing it by trolling, which is somehow like more annoying. You know, she's being fully genuine.
There is debate. I know some people think that she's just grifting, that she's just kind of trying to say whatever for clicks.
I don't know if I buy that. I don't think that she says the things she says because she's a freedom fighter or truth teller. I think she has some personal reasons why she like harps on these issues so hard.
Right.
But I do think she genuinely believes what she says.
We got a $20 there from Dave Gazuli.
He said, came in late, but is the whole Jezebel pushback perhaps due to the similarity in the progressive push to expose children to sexual themes? They can't praise one and condemn the other.
They absolutely can, because progressives of this nature believe that there's no truth but power, and they don't actually care about being hypocrites. It's Marxist 101.
So let's just watch some clips here.
Okay.
We can react
Let's
to them
start
as we
with,
go.
I don't think men and women are equal until we do the full work. Go be a plumber. Go be an electrician. Okay, here we go. Let's start it from scratch. Move it on screen here. Here we go. And we'll turn it up.
Also, by the way, it's such bad optics that the feminist that you're debating is hotter than you.
Yeah.
Just on its face, like you're already kind of losing
more
the debate.
feminine, yeah.
All right, here we go.
Is, a part of your message, I've researched you today, and hang on a minute.
Okay.
Your big push is that you care about men, and you don't think that men are getting enough of a say. But
Well, I care about
hang
women
on,
too.
I haven't
Care
made the
about women
point
too,
yet.
okay.
Because of feminism, okay? What I wonder is, when you start thinking about
Thank you.
We'll pause.
Yeah,
We'll give
let's
the
wait.
feminist her due. We'll give the feminist her due.
It's party time.
Okay.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you,
Resume.
Carter. Thank you to Phil.
women shouldn't be allowed to vote. How is that helping young men? Because these young men have women in their lives. They have mothers, they have sisters, they have teachers. And they turn around, they don't know how to act around women because you're giving them license to be misogynistic.
I wouldn't call it misogynistic. I say be equal. So again, men
think
do
that's what
all of
most
the
feminists are
Well,
saying.
then okay, I'd love for the feminists, please apply for the oil rigs. Please go do the hard jobs in society. They're open, they're hiring, because I don't equate for, I don't think men or women are equal until we do the equal work. So no, listen. Go apply to be on the oil rigs. Go be a plumber, go be an electrician, go be on the front lines of the military, and then we should have equal rights. But until feminists are willing to do that, I don't believe we should have the freedom without the responsibility.
Okay, well, I don't think that I'm physically built for that. You might be, but I'm absolutely not. You said you were volleyball.
That was ruthless.
I'm not built to be on the front lines of the military.
Maybe you are.
Maybe you are.
Wow.
You said you were a volleyball player, and so you've got more strength than I do. I don't think
But
that
I don't
can
have more
do those
strength. I don't have more strength than
But
the
I'm not
average
gonna take your
man.
right away to
I don't
do
have.
it.
I don't have more strength than the average man. But again, it goes back to go be a plumber. You want to be equal, go be equal.
I love that argument. It's the argument that it always comes back to, right? I don't know. I feel like the lady is she's not wrong, but
Pearl or
they're both kind of right. They're both making their points that they would. It almost felt like they were having two different conversations.
Well, are we talking about how the world is or how the world should be? That's the big difference.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, Pearl is actually making a leftist argument. She's saying women aren't equal because we don't do the same jobs. It's like feminists also believe that equality means equal outcomes, which is not actually the conservative position. The conservative position is equal opportunity, but Pearl seems to be advocating for equal outcomes, which is not something that, is associated with right-wing political beliefs, at least.
But is Pearl's ideal world one where women are working the oil rigs, the sewage plants?
No, it's just a gotcha moment.
Yeah,
Or
right?
is it just a gotcha moment?
I think she's just trying to pull a gotcha for the feminists because
Well, that's
she's
what I'm
saying
saying.
we shouldn't, as women, we shouldn't be able to vote unless we also have the responsibility that comes along with voting. I don't think I'm not for universal suffrage. I've talked about this. I like service guaranteed citizenship is my current position. So I don't agree with Pearl, but for probably different reasons than the average person. She's just trying to I think this is just a gotcha that she's not articulating very well.
Well, the idea of universal suffrage is a new one, and I mean, even universal suffrage amongst just the male population is kind of a radical idea that hasn't often been implemented in societies throughout human history.
Right.
I agree with that, but I don't know, like, this is just not the way to deliver that idea.
It feels like the argument that that Pearl's making is more the cultural argument that I always hear, where they're talking about, like, look, in the movies and television shows, they portray the women as being able to do all the exact same things that men can do.
Well, only in executive, comfortable positions. They can be CEOs, but not working the oil rigs, not being in the draft.
Point out that I just turned 37, and I grew up in an age where the
What's your birthday? Did you say publicly?
July 2nd, just the other day. So
mine's June 27th. So are you a Cancer?
I am.
Okay.
Yes. So when I was growing up, it became a big thing that you taught women, like, look, women can be whatever they want. If they want to be CEOs, they can strive for that. When a woman will be president one day, and all of that stuff was great. What we didn't teach is how men were supposed to deal with that, with the changing of what gender roles actually meant in this country. And men were kind of just left adrift, wondering what the hell does this all mean when it went from first, you have the right to go and do whatever you want, no one should be stopping you, to now, whether they want to admit it or not, the feminists actively discourage the idea of becoming a mother or becoming a stay-at-home wife, because they believe that even though you don't understand it, they believe that you don't understand that you're submitting to the patriarchy without actually understanding. So they're calling us, the women, stupid as well as submissive, right? Not understanding that that's both insulting to the women who choose that life and demeaning to the men who may want to just help be part of raise a family. They want to be the provider for a woman and their children. And it feels like they're having different arguments.
Well, I don't think anyone of a conservative persuasion would argue with the fact that there have been adverse effects following women's suffrage. Right?
And there's a $20 one there related from Derp Devil.
He said, women cry about the glass ceiling but overlook the glass floors they tread on. All the men doing the thankless and dangerous things which actually keep society functioning. It shouldn't be a gotcha to say you have it easier.
So I'm going to push back here. I see from the red pill community a lot of the same, I guess, logic, quote unquote, that is being used by feminists in terms of like, oh, well, all men do this, women do this. When you start to think of like men versus women in those very broad terms, that's how you end up with the rad femmes who say like, oh, men tend to be violent more, therefore violence is a male patriarchy problem. I'm of the belief that men have individual and unique problems to themselves, as do women. I'm not about trying to say one gender has it blanket more easy than the other. I think that's not productive, and that's also not realistic.
Social media is the #1 place where you see those, because it's great for clicks for people, is they can divide people very easily. I always equate it back to like, look, back in the day before social media, women complained to their girlfriends about men and men complained to the boys about women, and it was left at that, because you understood that even though you're bitching and complaining, it's just part of the experience. As individuals, you are going to have complaints about the opposite gender. You mean it, sure, but it doesn't mean it's a rebuke of all that gender is. Now we've taken those discussions not just to the other gender, but we've monetized it in a way that allows them to make the content even more radical. There's always a grain of truth to it, but it's just being consumed in a way that's not actually beneficial to anyone.
Well, at least in part, women complaining is why all of these necessary infrastructures exist. I mean, men are obviously working very hard at all levels of society to make it as comfortable and safe as possible. And who are you protecting? The women and the children.
We gave you air conditioning.
Those infrastructures exist for a reason.
We don't want the air conditioning. That's the problem.
Remember that? That was a big thing.
Yeah.
They were talking about like, well, that air conditioning at work is patriarchal because men like it colder and women have to bring sweaters to work.
Giving me flashbacks to anti-SJW YouTube.
Yes, we're back in that.
Good old days.
In that realm right now. We got a $20 one there from Francisco Sanchez Jr.
He said, oh, okay, I gotta give some dollars to my fellow Cancers. Me, I'm June 25th.
Hey.
Happy belated birthday to us.
Dave Rubin, he's also, I think, like a day before or after, some like really close to that as well.
It's when I was home and like they mentioned it while I was out to eat with my family. I'm like, don't you do that. If I hear one note of happy birthday from some server, I am out of here. Thankfully, that didn't happen. It scared the crap out of me though. I'm like, I don't want it. No.
Do you believe in astrology? This is kind of off topic, but
Not really. I don't think it's real or has any bearing, but at the same time, also the person like, oh, which Starbucks drink do they say is good for cancer? You know, like it's fun and I identify with it, but I like, oh, I'm a Cancer, therefore this is the one. Like, you know, on social media, they'll have like different outfits for the different star signs.
Yeah.
I look at those for what it says for Cancer, but I don't believe it has actual, it's not real. Like
It's the meme. It says, Mom, what time was I born?
Yeah.
Run! Run! Get away from her.
Don't talk to her.
Don't talk to her.
Yeah.
It's only going to end badly, ladies
Honestly,
and gentlemen.
I think it is real to a larger extent than most people realize, but also it's not something that we should allow ourselves to investigate and also use as justifications for our bad behavior.
I feel like it's Myers-Briggs, but for like basic girls, kind of
Yeah.
like your personality type.
Well, women love like psychoanalyzing and like
Yeah.
analyzing social situations and personalities.
It's just vague.
That's why they are
It's
into
just,
it.
It's just vague, and it's like a party psychic, right? They give you vague information, and your brain fills in the blanks.
For most of it,
For
yeah.
most
The
of it,
commercialized
yes.
aspects.
But I get being interested in the personality types and everything like that. But if you are, then there are actual like psychologists who can give you better insights. Like watch the Jordan Peterson video about different personality types rather than the
I mean,
astrology.
even psychology is a pseudoscience to a large degree. Let's move on to another clip, though.
What was the thing that you had me do the one day, the one test? What was that thing called?
Oh, the temperaments.
Yes,
You're
the-
sanguine, choleric, phlegmatic, or melancholic, and you got melancholic.
Figures.
Right.
Something
Which I predicted.
Yes. Well, she knows me better than I know myself, apparently. All right. So this says, is feminism broken? And this clip starts right here.
I don't understand though is when it gets spiteful, okay? Because you put down a few arguments
Halcyon, we're going to read it in a second, so just hold off for a minute.
that I think are perfectly, like, they're kind of evangelical and they're Christian, but those are your right to say it. What I don't understand is when it kind of seeps into this sort of, you call women fat, you say that they shouldn't have
Are they
abortions,
fat?
you say that
Are
they
they
have
fat?
STDs.
I mean, the question is, are they fat? Yes or no?
why pass
The
that kind
average
of
American
judgment?
woman is 170 pounds. That's objectively overweight.
I mean, let's be honest. We now celebrate morbid obesity as some kind of body positive thing, and it is complete nonsense. So actually, on that point again, there's a bit of truth in
And this
that.
is the problem. This is the problem.
How have we come to celebrate morbid obesity as body positive? It's nonsense.
We're not talking about morbid obese. I was actually watching your podcast earlier, and you spoke to someone who was, I would say, probably a size 12, and you called her fat, obese, and a divorcee.
She was fat, obese, and a divorcee.
wasn't.
I mean, like, I don't know what to say. This is the thing, women, we don't want to live in reality. We don't want to say things that are true. Was she fat? Yes. Was she a divorcee? Yes. These things are just objective.
there is
Okay,
anytime
I'm
I
gonna
will
have to object.
Go ahead.
anytime someone mentions critical things about Pearl, she freaks out. That's all. Like
Right,
that's all
so
I'll say about that.
This feminist journalist retorted at her a couple of times saying, for instance, you're not a virgin. Wouldn't that disqualify you from this idea you have of traditional marriage?
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I mean, I wish I was, but I can't go back. What do you want me to say? And similarly, the fat divorcee she was talking to, I don't know, could have said the same thing.
Exactly.
I can't go back and change the fact that I was divorced. What do you want me to say? Like, it's always like just one-sided with her. And also, I think Pearl is overweight, so I don't think she has any room to talk about that topic.
Well, you can still talk about it. You're a lot, like, you can still, like...
Okay, but like live the values that you're preaching.
And Halcyon H has a $20 super chat that relates to the discussion.
He said, Pearl and Andrew Tate make sense, but have a few extreme views. My complaint with feminism is, are women better off now? If their goal was OF, single mothers, and multiple dads, and divorced and single, I guess they won.
You could look at the outcomes and say, like, look, are things better than they were 20, 30 years ago? No, but, one of the facts of a liberal society is that if people are given the right to make their choices, those choices are going to be made, and all you can do, like you said, live your values.
Well, I mean, it's like women who wanted to make those choices already had those choices before feminism came along.
Right. And I think like but the answer is not, oh, you're either a feminist or you're red pill. That's a false dichotomy that I think a lot of people, like when we're talking about Pearl, it's like, oh, well, things are bad now, therefore this version of, I don't even know, it's not conservatism, it's not Christianity. I mean, we were kind of talking about it, like there are viral clips of Pearl talking about how high value man cheats, or a high value man cheats. If you are a man and you cheat, if you're anybody and you cheat, you're not a high value person. So the idea that the red pill community seems to place value solely on things like looks and materialism, that's not conservative. That's certainly not Christian.
It doesn't seem like Pearl values or even acknowledges the complementarity of the sexes. I mean, she's been preaching about this, like, if women disappeared tomorrow, men would keep society running and they would be just fine. And that's obviously not true.
Is that
men and
including
women
the childcare?
both
Like
need each other.
Yeah.
And we have different tasks that we are better suited to. And Christians especially understand the complementarity of the sexes. And Christians talk about the way that things should be, not the way things are. And I think the red pill ideology just talks about the way things are and how you succeed in the current paradigm when we're looking to change the paradigm.
Also with that's a really good distinction that you've made. And I also feel like when they talk about the way things are, they will be very, very committed to average statistics. It's like, oh, women are like whores because the average woman this, and it's like, okay, but that still leaves room for many, many women and communities of women to not do that.
What's your body count?
Yeah.
So that's what it ends
And
up being.
it seems like her message is one that doesn't have any room for redemption, which is obviously a Christian value.
Which is one of the things that, as somebody who's not religious, it has been the biggest thing to me. I've noticed that we've become a society that almost abhors the idea of redemption. You're not allowed, like, once you are something now, you're not allowed to be anything else. And as somebody who is in recovery, I believe heavily in redemption and changing the course of where your life is going. So to see that, it's not just, it's anti-human in a lot of ways, and it leads you down the path to nihilism very, very quickly.
She has all of these criticisms for the state of modern women, which are true to a large extent, but doesn't offer... Sorry. Oh, wait.
Thank you, Ian. There's also a $20 super chat there from Ryle Kittenhouse.
It's party time.
What is Ryle?
So I was saying her message doesn't offer an off-ramp
No.
to the women that have maybe gone down a bad path. It's just nihilistic, like it's over for you if you've done X and Y and Z.
Or you're over this certain age,
or you're over a certain age.
And
Which is also like not encouraging young women who have all the possibilities in the world open to them to get married, because it makes it seem like the worst possible option. Like, I'm going to be worthless to my future husband at the time I hit 25 or 30 or 35 or whatever.
They do try to explain, I mean, like, the more nuanced takes, they say, like, look, in a marriage, it's a partnership, where back in the day it was that a woman offered you children and her best years, and you provide her safety and sanctuary and all of these things when she is no longer able to do that herself, right? But that gets lost in the message. Also, a lot of times when they're talking high-value men and high-value women, it's a conversation about people that is sold to people that are not part of that group, meaning that, like, the guys are usually talking about the men who are millionaires, who can have any woman they want, and they so that they have these young women that they run through on a regular basis. That is not the average guy's life experience, right?
Anyway,
Nor will it
Ryle
ever be.
Kittenhouse said, "Finish The Wire. Seasons 1 through 3 are great. 4 or 5 less so. Many anticlimactic conclusions to characters and story arcs. Overall, good second monitor show."
All, like, those first 3 seasons of The Wire, that I sing the praises of this show all the time on here. Like, if you want to see a show that does actual politics of a community, right? This is the show to check out. And also, if you want to see characters in shades of gray in a way that doesn't lean a specific direction without it being shoved down your throat, it is the show to check out.
Let's look at this last clip from the appearance.
All right. Is that the one that says women don't want to live in reality? We don't want to.
I think we just watched that one.
Is that the one?
There was a third one.
Okay.
Buzz.
Okay, here we go.
But, you know, we can't go back. I don't know what you want me to...
No, I think...
That's why I want divorce to be banned.
Yeah.
Can I finish that first? So I'm saying, you know, the people that believe in divorce, go be in long-term relationships. Leave marriage for the people that actually believe in, for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part.
But doesn't the sanctity of marriage also rely on the woman being a virgin, so you wouldn't be able to get married?
What do you mean?
Well, you've spoken quite openly about how you're not a virgin, and so if you want to preserve that sanctity of marriage, then I just think that you're upholding standards that you don't actually live by.
You know, and that's a fair complaint. I wish I was. But, you know, we can't go back. I don't know what you want me to say.
No, but I just don't think it's fair that you get to be here and you get to be paid for your views, and you're telling other women that they shouldn't be allowed to.
I mean, she's not saying that they shouldn't be allowed to. She's saying
that they shouldn't.
That they shouldn't. I don't know if her being a hypocrite doesn't make the point she's making wrong in all contexts. I don't know if that's true.
Right,
this
but
one,
I think just because something is true doesn't mean that you need to say it.
Yeah,
Like,
time and place.
right, a time and place and delivery matters. And like Pearl just has this weird fixation that because something is true, you have to say it, or that's the reason that you should say it.
Right,
When,
and I
like-
also believe that the way, and there are people in the chat saying, oh, that's not what she meant by that, that she actually means this, she actually means that, and I hear that a lot from Pearl's like supporters and subscribers. But here's the things, if she's needing to be corrected and defended by other people with words that are not her own, maybe she should just be more precise.
It's
when
her
she,
responsibility
it's
to
her
communicate
responsibility.
exactly what she means.
Exactly, because I think what a lot of Christians, the issue they have with Pearl is that when she talks about women, when she talks about men, she is basically reinforcing hookup culture by focusing on things that are superficial. And it's not that like even Christians shouldn't care about what someone looks like or how much money they make, but that should not be the most important thing when you're looking at a relationship. It just shouldn't. And the fact that she focuses so much on those things, leaving out other things entirely, that is enforcing this very shallow approach that people have to relationships.
There's also somebody points out, like, look, her long form content might go into more detail. That's not what we're talking about here. So I will point out that, like, I don't listen to.
It's just sound bites.
It's sound bites for stuff like
but
this.
Overall, like, I do understand why some people find Pearl's takes refreshing because we've come to
hang on,
expect that you're not allowed
C2
to
Gaming about the long form content. I've watched her long form debates and stuff,
yeah.
and she doesn't bring up that. So maybe her own long form content is.
The other thing is, you're right that delivery matters, because if you're looking to bring people into your worldview, if you want to help people see what you see, how you say it matters,
especially
and,
women.
Yeah, and a lot of, I mean, I think for everyone, right? Like,
but women are
people
supposed to excel at communication, and if you're not taking into account how what you're saying is being received, you're not a good communicator.
Yeah. Yep. So
that's why your audience is 99% male, even though you're supposedly giving a message to women. And
by design,
what I was saying is that we've come to expect that criticizing women is off the table now, which is why Pearl's message is gaining popularity right now.
Right.
And we are in a culture where, like, look, she's on Piers Morgan, but she's not mainstream in the way that the people that are watching her would consider mainstream. The mainstream narrative is that you can't criticize women for any reason whatsoever, because if you
look at the Keke Palmer situation.
It makes you a misogynist who's a bad person. So, you know, when you've been told you're only allowed to say one thing, when you've been told you're only allowed to do one thing, you'll look for any voice that pushes to the contrary, right?
You're going to spite the people that are trying to suppress that.
And I have, like, if I'm being completely honest, call me boring, but I have no opinion on this one way or another, because it doesn't really affect me outside of the fact that I think that these types of conversations and these types of discourses are usually a product being sold to a certain amount of people. One thing I've learned about being here is, like, whether you like it or not, you can believe everything you say in this room, and you should. You should only say things that you believe. You should only put forth a message that you truly actually have faith in. But at the end of the day, you're selling a product. Whether it's your point of view, whether it's your opinions on things, you're somebody who has a message, and that message is for sale, whether it's through your YouTube channel, whether it's through your articles you write for different outlets, whether you're doing speaking engagements. You're still, in a lot of ways, you're finding an audience, and you're pushing forward that message to that audience. And now that goes to what you said, which is that what you say and how you say it truly does matter. Being a good communicator matters, but always kind of take these things with a grain of salt, because it's still a product. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media, and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.